once a man of such vision and passion. He led a people out of depravity, found a movement of glory and beauty, the likes of which are rarely glimpsed. Talking, of course, about Steve Jobs. Who do you think I was talking about here? On a Sunday. But Steve Jobs left a mark in the world. Love him or hate him, love his inventions or loathe them, he has been a force. But when we think about him as an inventor, what is his greatest invention? I think this is an interesting question to ask. Some people would say it was the original Macintosh computer. Who has seen the commercial 1984, famous commercial? It was aired only once during the Super Bowl in 1984, where all these brainwashed people of IBM were watching this screen, and this woman runs out. I think she was an Olympian, and she swings this hammer and breaks the screen that is brainwashing all these IBM people, because the Macintosh was going to be so great that it would just transform the world. Other people would say it's the iPod. You couldn't, the touch interface, being able to go through thousands of songs with just a click wheel, if you remember all the way back to the iPod days, which led to the iPhone, the iPad, and the Apple Watch that are so ubiquitous today. Others would say it's not even any of his inventions itself, it's the company, Apple. It's a culture that he has created to make things wonderful and beautiful and easily accessible to people. Now here, we're not worshiping at the shrine of Apple, I hope. And it's a little scary that I can make this introduction fit so easily with religion. I think it shows how powerful technology is as a force in our world. But Steve Jobs can make something beautiful out of glass and metal and silicon. We were just singing songs about one who makes beauty out of the dust. There's only one that can do that. There's only one movement or a culture that can actually change the world. Apple has made things better for some, but not all. I doubt Apple will be around for 2,000 years, helping and empowering people from all nations, all genders, all the way around the world. And so as people of this company, as people of the body of Christ, as people of this church who's still going strong, let's explore what it means to be part of this culture, of being sent out as representatives into the world for Christ. Let us pray. Lord, help us see your truth through Jesus Christ, who is the truth. Amen. Amen. Now, when you were reading in chapter 10 after this, whenever you read an after this or now or therefore, you have to kind of go back. This isn't out of context. This is in part of the whole narrative of Jesus. And after this, there's this pivotal scene where Jesus turns his face towards Jerusalem. Which means not just that he's looking at a city, but all of his mission is leading up to this point. And what Jesus knows is that I'm going to die. You can't speak truth to power. You can't shine light in darkness and not come away with a wound or two or a casualty or two. So Jesus has been trying to veil. This is why Jesus uses parables to veil the power of that truth that he has. And he says things like parables of the sower, parables of the kingdom, subverting slowly. But once people get what he's really saying, they're like, this guy needs to die. He's threatening us. He's threatening our power structures. So when he faces towards Jerusalem, he's saying, I'm going to die. This is it. This is the home stretch of my ministry. I don't know about you, but when I'm threatened, I usually try to keep as much power to myself as possible. I try to be able to shore up whatever resources I have. But Jesus, with this threat coming, doesn't do that. He empowers his disciples. He says, not just the 12. I'm not sending out the 12. I'm sending out 70 or 72, depending on what manuscript you're looking at. 70 of you to go ahead of me. Time is short. Don't stop on the road and chit-chat with somebody. Go. Go to the towns and villages and go ahead of me. Just as John the Baptist went ahead of Jesus, you go out into that city and prepare the way. I'm going to those cities. I'm going to those towns. Prepare the way. You are my representatives. They are to go first where Jesus will follow. They are to be the ones preparing the way for the Lord Jesus. Now this sounds really scary. Like when I came to Maryland, I came with a moving truck. These guys aren't supposed to have bags, purses, sandals, rods, any of that. Purse. So if people want to give you money, you got nothing to put it in. You're supposed to depend on them. Now hospitality in that part of the world is much different. That I can't just knock on a door in Durwood and say, hey, I don't have a place to stay, right? We support MCCH for the homeless. But in those days, if someone knocked on your house, you'd invite them in. So Jesus says, knock on a door, and if they invite you in, say, peace be on this house. And if they accept that, if they accept you, that's fine. Stay in that house. Eat what they put before you. They may be going to Gentile cities, which means they will be eating unclean food. And Jesus says, just eat whatever they give you. When I went to Taiwan, I had to eat what people gave me. When I went to the Philippines, I had to eat what people gave me without necessarily knowing at the time what I was eating. That's just part of it. So Jesus says, go, knock on a door. If they accept you, that's fine, stay there. If not, just say, okay, leave that house until you find a house that gives you peace. And stay there and bless that house, and that's your center of operations for that time. Heal the sick, cast out demons, do these different things. So it makes much more sense in their day, these instructions, than it might be for our day, although people do amazing things. They plant churches in areas where they have nothing. But it's interesting that Jesus, who embodied and embraced such vulnerability, going to the cross as your defining moment, that's an act of profound vulnerability. You can't do much once you're dead. But Jesus had a different understanding. He showed us power in a completely different way. He said, I am vulnerable. I will do this for you, to empower you, to give you life. So it shouldn't surprise us when the commands he gives to his disciples is go out in profound vulnerability, profound dependence on everyone that you meet. Go to these cities and prepare the way. What I find most encouraging in these passages is the idea that there is a harvest ready. Meaning, Jesus isn't saying go out and plant seeds and water them and weed them and make sure they grow. He's saying God's already doing all of that work. The first part of his commands are go, the harvest is plentiful, the workers are few, go and do this. That sounds great until he says you're going to be like lambs among wolves. The first part, there's a harvest. I'm from the Midwest. We're all about harvest. We've got corn all over the place. If it's not corn, it's soybeans. You got to rotate the field sometimes. But a harvest is awesome. We have the saying, knee high by the 4th of July. If the corn is knee high, that's good. It's going to be a good harvest. Pending lots of rain or not enough rain. But that shows you this is a great harvest. Now, when I was back in Illinois on vacation, it was above knee high. It might be waist high. It might be a really, really good harvest. But the thing is, like my dad, he owns land. He's not a farmer, but he owns land and he rents it to a farmer. My dad doesn't know how to farm. He's not a farmer. But thankfully, he knows someone who is a farmer. God is the farmer. God is the one preparing the harvest. Not everyone is to be harvested. It's not my job to make someone ready to be harvested. My job is to go and say, hey, this is the good news of Jesus Christ. This is what I believe in. This is what freedom I found in Christ. Does that sound right to you? And if people say, get off my lawn, or stop talking to me, that's fine. He says, shake the dust off your feet. Taylor said, shake it up, just shake it up. Like, it doesn't matter. I don't have to keep pursuing and banging my head against that door. I just say, that's fine. I just want to tell you, if you're ever open to talking more, that's fine. I've been part of organizations that really do just pound it. Just go and knock on doors, or go and just talk to anyone on campus. And some people are just, I'm not ready. That's fine. It's not on me. It's fine. But other people are ready, and sometimes we overthink it. I was baptized in college. I remember my Taiwanese roommate telling a neighbor who I was pretty sure was not a person of faith. He's like, "Oh, I just went to Eric's baptism." And the guy was like, "Congratulations." And after he said congratulations, I just stumbled over myself. I didn't know what to say. I felt like it was all up to me to say something witty or say something or kind of nuance it or I was a little bit ashamed maybe. It was like, here's an opportunity just to see, just to continue a conversation. Maybe this person wants to hear more about what baptism means. Maybe this person is a person of faith and wants to talk more. But I overthought. You know, the church in the West is in decline. In the global South, it's doing just fine. But here we struggle and we worry, and every time the PCUSA meets, we talk about how many members the PCUSA is losing. Oh my gosh, and we wring our hands and everything. And I think we have this complex of thinking there's not a harvest anymore. That we're in a time of famine and there's just nothing we can do. And yet here this passage it says there is a harvest. It's out. Don't worry. Don't freak out. We need to stop worrying about growing a harvest and simply harvest. You know, I've been part of churches, not Taiwanese churches, but other churches that I was learning at, declining churches, and there'd be session meetings where we would say, well, what we really need to do is just have better flyers. Because to harvest, you need to send out flyers. You know, the corn just needs to know that the harvest is ready. You know, unpick yourself, corn, and find your way into the silo. No. You go out to a harvest. You check it out. You see how the corn is. You see if it's dry enough. You bring the combine now to take all that stuff out. But fancier flyers, better websites, better advertising, making witty church signs in the front. Come out there. We're so worried. We think church is just here in this building, and get out. There is a harvest. Our job as the church is to anticipate that harvest, and we work to get out of God's way. We mess it up. Get out of God's way. It's not your job. We have some pulpits that really just try to press it. We'll have beautiful music playing as I try to convict you so that you can, get scared of hell or something so we can get in the church. All this stuff that we do. There's harvest. Go and tell. If the response is good, it's all good. Now, I know this can be a challenge because of the size of our group. We're a family-sized congregation, and we are made up of individual families. We're tight-knit. We know each other. Some of you have known each other for a long time, maybe too long. But you guys have known each other. Diapers have been changed. People, in this congregation, and it can be hard as a family. My two older sisters are married. I'm married. My younger brother is not married. So my vacation was we went to a lake house with 14 people, all these siblings and their families. And my brother brought his girlfriend. That's intimidating. Because you have 13 other people just. Is she right? Is she right for my brother? Does she fit in this family or not? It's intimidating. Even we played this silly game, and you've seen on the internet these mouth guards that bring your mouth apart so you can see your teeth. You work on teeth. Have you seen that? There are these games where you do that and you try to read a phrase that uses B's or F's, things you need your lips for. Your lips are spread out. It was my brother's idea, no one else's, but she had to go through this with us and basically make a fool of herself. But again, it was my brother's idea. But this is to put yourself out there. When someone comes to our church, though, that as a family church, we have to be very open and willing and hospitable. Being able to say, we are willing to adopt you. We've seen that, happen as Kate and Simon left for California. It was wonderful hearing the stories of how they came into this church as outsiders, as strangers. We can do that. We can welcome people into the family. Jesus creates this new culture, one that subverts the power structures of the world by giving instead of taking, dying to give life instead of killing to preserve it, emptying instead of filling up. And he sent out the 70, and he sends out us as completely vulnerable, just as he was, depending on God, depending on God's word, because God is preparing a harvest. We may doubt it, we may shake our heads, but God is moving in the hearts of our family members. God is moving in the hearts of our friends and our neighbors, the visitors to this area. We are called to that harvest, to be attentive, to be alert, not to impede, but to anticipate the glad reception of good news. That's what the gospel is. It's good news. The harvest is ready. The harvest is plentiful. Go and pray that others will join as well. Let us pray. We thank you that you are the God of growth. You are the God who prepares hearts. We cannot do that. We are not greater than you. We cannot mess it up. What you have done in people's lives, Lord. But help us to not create stumbling blocks to people, but may we be open, may we be willing to talk, ask good questions, to love people. There are people that really do need to hear about you. There are people, no matter what model their car, no matter how many square foot their house is, do need you. Their lives are broken. It happens all around us. We hear about it all the time. Help us not doubt the goodness of the gospel. And help us to go where you are calling to go. Unlike the disciples going first, you have already gone before. You are already out there moving, going you outside these four walls. In your hearts we pray. In Jesus' name. Amen. It's wonderful when you talk about